My inclination, well, I mean, this case is familiar, I think, to everyone in Thurston County District Court. It's heard by a number of judges. You know, both Mr. Eden as well as the parties have been petitioners and respondents, and I'm not sure how many orders against each other. So in that, and I don't know, and again, I'll just throw it, I'm going to be on this rotation for the next couple of months, and so it's going to stay with me. But in the event that you haven't been served, and I don't know whether, okay, it doesn't look like Mr. Eden has been served with Ms. Pardee matter. I'm not sure whether Mr. Eden was able to get the Pardee served, but given this short notice, and this has been an ongoing situation going back, I don't know if I want to say years, but months. Anyway, I mean, I guess I'll just ask, are the parties prepared to go forward here this morning? Or we can reset this given the lack of service and review this in a week or two. Ms. Pardee, I'll start with you. Did you know that Mr. Eden had filed an order against you?
No, Your Honor, but now I know. And my email is with the court, so that could just be forwarded that way and get moving.
And so Mr. Eden was here. I mean, again, so what's your preference on we can go forward this morning, or we can, now that you do know, you can get the petition and all that, and we can be back here probably in 2 weeks. I don't think orders have been entered.
Yeah. Plus, Your Honor, there's stuff that's going on, and I just had to submit video on Friday, so I'm not sure if you've had time to review that or not.
No, hang on just a second. I haven't. Before you do that, for everybody who's not, case isn't being heard, I'm going to ask you to mute up. Thank you, Ms. Burschauer. And then there's a Lance Freirear. If I'm saying that right, if you could mute also, please. You may not realize it because I can't hear what you're saying. So, Ms. Pardee, no, if you had submitted recent video, I haven't seen it. And so, Mr. Eden, I'd come to you, and again, we could just reconvene here in a couple of weeks, be January 16th.
Yes, I'd definitely like to do that. I have a lot of information, and now present a lot more information.
Well, if there's one thing that these cases aren't short of, it's information. And so what's going to happen today then is we'll just reset this. So both of you should have access. You should have enough experience now. You can access the court file. You can see what's been filed on either case. If you need the cause numbers, I can give them to you. I'm not going to, there's no need for entering any orders because none have been, there's no orders. There'll just be notice of hearing, and we'll reconvene the 16th.
Okay, Your Honor, could I ask you a question, please?
Yes. You can ask.
Could you enter a temporary order of restraint? Jonathan is 15 and he starts school again. And if you had read the information, this continued harassing you through the bushes and through the keyhole in the fence, as I call it, and all of that by Mr. Eden of Jonathan and Matthew, and even myself, every time we try to leave the house, it needs to stop, Your Honor. It's affecting all of our mental health.
Man, so again, the answer to that is I'm not going to change things from where they are right now. We'll reconvene in 2 weeks and go from there.
Okay.
And Mr. Eden, Ms. Pardee, and I think I saw Mr. Pardee on here. You're free to go. We'll see you back here. See you all back here on the 16th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm here.
Yeah. And so you're asking for an order against Ms. O'Hara there. Is Ms. O'Hara on the Zoom call or in court? And then I don't see that she got served with that. Were you able to get service on her?
Well, you had noted and said on Zoom that you were going to have law enforcement serve her due to it being a stalking. On the last Zoom at 1:21 in the morning, or 1:21 on the Zoom call, you said you were having law enforcement serve her.
Yeah, that was not me, first of all.
It was, let's see, Commissioner Paul Wohl, W-O-H-L.
Right here.
That's true. And we do have a commissioner named Paul Wohl, but my name is Sam Meyer. And so
okay.
That was not me. I did not say that.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, sir.
Hang on just a second. I'm going to check with the clerk and I'm going to find out what was said.
Attendance required by law enforcement agency.
Yeah.
So tell him that when he comes back. I'm sure they're looking.
So, if you're going to talk to somebody else, you need to mute.
I'm sorry, sir.
So it did check the box that was sent to law enforcement, but it doesn't look like it was sent there. And so what we'll do here is we'll reissue the temporary order and then get that sent to law enforcement. And have them serve it, but that didn't happen for whatever reason. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, can I ask, because I've never done this on anybody. The state's put restraining orders on people for me, but I personally have never done one. Am I notified when she is served?
Not typically, no. You can check with the court when they file it, and they might. I don't know if you contact with them, they can tell you.
Okay. Well, no, like I said, I've never done this, so I didn't know. So it's extended another 2 weeks and then wait for law enforcement, hopefully, to get her served.
Yep. And what's the law enforcement agency there? Okay. And that'd be the Pierce County Sheriff's Office. Is that your understanding, ma'am?
Nobody told me, but she does live in Pierce County.
Okay, then that's who it would be.
Okay.
A copy of this will get sent to you.
Okay. So then I'll just wait another 2 weeks and I'll have another meeting.
Yes, that is correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hello.
So you're asking for an order against Mr. Bowery there? Am I saying that correctly? Bowery?
I'm honestly not quite sure how it's pronounced, but yes.
Were you able to get service on him? I didn't see that there was any service in the file.
I asked the police to let me know when he was served, and they were kind enough to give me a call 8:30 Saturday morning saying that he was served.
It was I'm on the Zoom thing because I can't listen. I can only hear.
Okay, so thank you. Who served them, ma'am?
The Tumwater PD.
Sir, if it helps, I'm also on the line. Yeah, I went to the Tumwater Police Department and they served me there.
Oh, so you're here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So thanks. And we'll take your case up in a bit. So, Ms. Roof there's Julie Roof. Could you come on the Zoom call, please?
Hello.
Hi there. So you're asking for two separate orders. One against someone named Ashley Pierce, and then someone named Gail Zoomwald. It looks like you got service on one, but not the other. Is that your understanding also?
Yes.
And then, so how did you want to, and then is Ashley Pierce here? Okay. So Ms. Pierce is here in court. So we could take that case, and then on the Zoomwald case, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. If you can, if they haven't been served, then we can reset that one. And I'm not sure, is all this related?
Yes.
Okay. So who are these people to you? Ashley Pierce and Gail Zoomwald.
Ashley Pierce is my sister, and Gail Zumwalt is my mother.
I see. So are you going to be able to get your mother served? What do you think about that? Kind of might make sense for all these to be heard together.
Sorry, but I think it's the jurisdiction thing. It was ordered.
Who's talking? I don't. Ms. Roof, you in the red hair, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know who someone off camera is talking to me, and I don't know who that is.
I'm Megan Zarnick, one of her witnesses.
Okay. What's your relationship with the case?
She's my son's girlfriend.
Okay, so ma'am, I want to hear from Ms. Roof. Do you understand?
I understand.
So Ms. Roof, again, I'll come back to you in terms of where we go with this. Like I say, it might make sense. I'm not sure how you feel, ma'am, in court, but it doesn't make much sense to me to go through one of these and then it seems like it's all interrelated to me. So I mean, what's your ability to get service, and I'll hear you from you as well, ma'am. I mean, do you know where she is? Are you going to be able to get her served?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Lacey PD, but Thurston Sheriff.
Yeah, anyone can serve them.
Okay.
Temporary. And then there's other folks who are here are witnesses also. I think there's observers for cases. Yeah, there they are. And then I guess, for lack of a better term, on whose side are those witnesses? Or the observers, are they here in support of who, or do you know?
I don't know.
And you're Ms. Pierce, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what I'd be inclined to do at this time, Ms. Pierce, is, again, these need to be heard together. And if she's gonna be able to get service, this seems like an unusual and unfortunate family dynamic here, but you wanted to say something, so I'll let you say it, yes. Why don't you come up to a table, please, so everyone can hear you.
I just would like to say that I would like to be heard, this case to be heard today. I actually wasn't even aware that there was another order towards my mother for this case. I have been the guardian over Julie for the last 1.5 years. And so actually my mom is not even involved in this situation at all. So I'm not even sure why that would be a part of this. And I did drive an hour to get here today because I don't live in this county.
There is an active guardianship right now?
I have it wasn't with the court, but I do have like the signed papers from my mom.
I mean, what do you mean not with the court? I'm not sure what that means.
We didn't go to court for guardianship, but I do have papers where she wrote out that I would have guardianship of her, and I have school documents that prove I was guardian. She hasn't lived under my mom's roof since 2022.
And you're her sister?
Yes.
Where do you live, man?
Pierce County.
You can
Stanley.
zoom into these. You know, you don't need to. I apologize that you had to drive here, but we do allow Zoom. How long is, so she doesn't live with you anymore?
No, as of about a week or 2 ago.
And then you in school, Ms. Ruth?
Yes.
Where do you go to school?
At this moment, I'm still enrolled in Bethel, and I can't start Timberline if I don't have my iPad that Miss Pierce is holding.
So, all right, you can go ahead and take a seat back in the courtroom. We'll take this case up later,
Thank you,
and
sir.
then we'll deal with Ms. Zumwalt at the conclusion of this case. So Mr. Moorsback is here in court.
Yeah.
And we're going to proceed with the hearing. First, I want to find out who's sitting next to you.
It's my nephew, Ricky.
Is he going to be a witness for you?
Yes.
When I'm just let me talk to him, and you're going to do okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a hearing here, and so these go a little bit more slowly because you have to say something, then stop, let the interpreter interpret, and then continue on. How is it you need an order against Mr. Moorsbach?
The reason is because we share an entrance where we are right next to each other. Yeah, but his nephew, Ricky, I think, has been threatening us the way it's written on the paper.
I didn't understand that, sir. So say that again, Ms. Mahamada.
Oh, the reason is because their nephew, Ricky, I believe is his name, has been threatening us as is described, as we described it on the paper.
Okay. Describe it for me now.
We set up a door so people can come in and out because it will make it easier. And that's when the problems started because we have one made of wire and ¿quién tiene la de alambre y qué más?
Ellos tienen la de alambre y nosotros la de tubos.
Tubos, okay. They have a door, a wire door, and we have one made of tubes.
Made of what?
Tubes.
Okay. And so, is Ricky the one giving you the trouble?
Yeah, we believe so. We reported it to the police, and the police, I think, gave us a name that it was not adequate.
So, but you're asking for an order against Mr. Edward Moorsbach, not Ricky, whose last name I don't know. Moorsbach. Is it Moorsbach too? Yeah. Apparently his last name is Moorsbach also.
That's where the confusion was born because we were telling the police and the police investigated their name and he gave us the name of the name thinking that it was the nephew name.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a minute. There's someone listed as iPhone. Who is that? You're talking right now. What's your name? I didn't understand it. Okay, what's that? I was wondering. Okay. So, okay, you're muted now. I'll call you back here. Get back in a minute on the iPhone. So, Ms. Ahumada or Mr. Chavez, what has David Mooresback done? Has he said anything?
No escuché, perdón.
Yeah, I didn't hear. Excuse me.
What is, you're asking for an order against Edward Mooresback, not Ricky. I need to know what Edward Mooresback has done, if anything.
Okay, with Mr. Edward Mooresback, we don't have any problem. In fact, we have a good communication. The issue was originated because we didn't know the name of the nephew, and the police officer thought it was Edward, and just learning the right name.
So tell me what's the nephew done, in your opinion? And I'll come to you in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, what he does, he's continuously bothering us and about the opening and closing of the doors. At some point, he threatened us and he said that he was coming with a pistol to shoot. And on one occasion, there were a couple of mothers with their babies in the trailer. And so he went and started shaking the trailer, moving and scaring them.
How long have you lived there?
Yeah, we only go once a month on a weekend.
I see. And then have you had any problems with the Mr. Mooresback, Ricky Mooresback, before this gate issue?
Your Honor, interpreter was trying to clarify. No, Ricky has always assaulted us. So interpreted, I wanted to know specifically assaulted what? Verbally.
Okay. I'm going to talk to the Mooresbacks for a minute, and yeah, so here's where we're at here, Mr. But before we do that though, I want to explain where I'm at, Mr. Chavez. You're asking for an order against Mr. Edward Mooresback. I can't do that because you just named the wrong person. If you want an order against Mr. Ricky Mooresback, you have to basically file a petition against him, and not Mr. Edward Mooresback. I understand your confusion, but he's not a party. I really can't enter an order against him within the context of this case. Can't. And you can file an order for a petition to do all this against him, Mr. Ricky Mooresback. Frankly, you're all here. I think it would be better if maybe people kind of worked out their differences so they didn't have to come to court.
They couldn't hear me last time, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, I can hear you now, ma'am. What's your name on the iPhone?
Angeli Johnson, can you hear me?
What was your name again?
Angeli Johnson, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, but what I need you to do right now is just mute, and then we're in the middle of another hearing here. Okay, I'll come to you in a bit.
Okay, thank you.
And so I am going to talk to Mr. Ricky Mooresback just because I'm kind of curious as to what's going on out there. And hopefully maybe we can eliminate the need for a future hearing. Otherwise, I'll see you two back here in a couple of weeks. So, Mr. Ricky Mooresback, I guess.
Senor Ricky Mooresback?
I already told you I can't order, and you're not a party, but what's going on out there?
And
speak slowly and let the interpreter. Go ahead.
There's a right of way across our property. The gates must be stay closed. My cows, I have a farm. The gates need to stay closed. They can go in and out as they want, but they need to close the gates every time. They don't do that. My animals get out.
Okay, just stop there. If they don't do that, go ahead. Okay. So, Mr. Chavez, do you understand what, and again, I don't know what's been said out there.
Okay.
So the behavior that goes on out there is not typically something I see. So do you understand what his issue is with regard to the fence?
Yes, I totally understand that. The only thing that I will request from him is for him to remove the car that he parked in there to obstruct the entrance. And of course, I am more than willing to comply with his needs.
Mr.
I didn't put the car there. That's not my property. He needs to go talk to the legal, legit landowner. That's not us.
Do you know whose car that is?
Yeah, they just woke up the next morning. It was there, dumped at the gate.
Is it just an abandoned car, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, so they just said that was an abandoned van. I said you can have it towed, or someone can.
Yeah. Alguien lo puede sacar ahí con ¿cómo se llama? El camión que se lleva los carros, pues.
So that's going to conclude the case for today.
Eso va a concluir el caso por hoy.
I don't know what's been said to his children out there or what you said. I said, I don't know.
I'm not allowed on the property, sir.
You're not allowed on the property?
Nope, haven't been allowed on the property for almost a year, sir.
Based on what?
Based on a restriction between me and my wife.
Got it. And then who does the farming work?
I have a gentleman that lives with him. He's my cousin Richard. He pays rent, and half his rent is taking care of the cows for me in the morning.
So that's going to be it for today.
Eso es todo por hoy.
And yeah, that'll be it for today. I just want to encourage everyone to, again, you all seem like you want.
I would be happy if the gentleman wants to have a discussion. I'd be happy to talk to him.
Okay. And you may go, Adrian Crane. And so, and then Ms. Sturbis, you're here for both of those folks. Is that correct?
That's accurate. Good morning, Your Honor. Maria Sturbis is hearing. I have Adrian Crane just to my side. Also in my office is Layla Harp and Hannah Crane.
Okay. And it looks like they're on separate Zoom. Sometimes people are all in the same room, but they're. So what's going to happen, Ms. Bland?
No.
Could you, Jasmine? There's someone listed as Jasmine Durham as a witness. What case are you here for? You just muted. I just want to know what case you're here for.
I'm here as a witness for Ms. Bland, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and mute up, and then we'll what's your name, sir?
Jasmine Durham.
You can stand by here just a moment. I'll get to you when the time comes.
All right, thank you.
But please mute. Thank you. So, Ms. Bland, what's going to happen is I'm going to swear you in. I'm going to hear from you. And then I'll just let you tell me in narrative form why you want an order against those two folks. I'll need specifics about both individuals. There's an attorney involved in this case. She's going to be allowed to ask you questions. And then you can call whatever witnesses you wish to call. It looks like you have one. I'll swear in that witness here for that witness. And then Ms. Sturbis is going to be allowed to ask questions there also. And then following that, I'll make a determination as to whether order should be entered against either or both of the folks you're asking for. Go ahead, ma'am. I'll hear from you.
So there was an incident this last summer that was involved Layla and my son. And it wasn't until August 11th that I was contacted by my son at Rigo Reyes. He was at work. He had been chased through McDonald's by Adrian Crane that was threatening him, telling him that he was going to be 18 soon. Basically, Adrian was upset that my son had allegedly assaulted Layla. So I called Adrian. I messaged Adrian actually on Facebook, and I told him that he was not going to be harassing or stalking my child, and that it ended right there, and that he needed to come to me. He asked for a phone number, and I gave him Jasmine's phone number, as he's a man, and I know how Adrian is, and I was just going to put a man in between Adrian and I. My boyfriend called him, and in the phone call, he was telling Jasmine that he did chase Rigo, and that he
I'm going to object at this point based on
okay, Ms. Bland, when somebody objects, you need to stop. You understand? So I'm going to hear from Ms. Sturbis what the objection is. Then I'll make a ruling one way or the other. Go ahead.
Your Honor, thank you. This would be hearsay, Your Honor. Ms. Bland certainly can call witnesses, and they can talk about what they said to her, but I believe that this is not the best evidence, and this is hearsay, and I'd be objecting on that basis.
So, ma'am, I'm going to sustain that objection, which means I don't want you to talk about what Mr. Durham said. He's here. I'll swear him in a minute, and I'm assuming he can testify to that phone call, and I'll hear from him on what we said then.
So the phone call was on speaker, and Jasmine and I were both talking to Adrian. Adrian had said, I won't say what Jasmine had said. I heard Adrian say on that phone call that he will bury my son, and that he will be 18 soon. And so I told Adrian that won't happen without consequences.
So hang on just a second. So Mr. Durham, Jasmine Durham, you're on mute.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't want you driving. I'm assuming you're at work right now?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm getting ready to pull out and pull over. I'm able to talk in a few seconds.
Okay.
I just need to pull out and pull over.
Go off screen and then go pulled over.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't want you. prefer not to have infractions committed in real time. So turn off your camera, mute yourself, and then pull over. And then when you're stationary again, you can come back on.
Thank you. Just a few seconds.
I apologize for interrupting, Ms. Bland. Go ahead.
I forgot where I was. So, just the phone call. We would hang up with Adrian on August 11th, and he'd call back. He was harassing us. He knew that we were at a family event at the zoo, and he was just relentlessly calling, saying that he was going to hurt my child, that he would be a grown up soon, and then it wouldn't be hurting a minor. My son Rigo is on Zoom right here, but he's not 18 yet. So I attempted to get a no contact order after I received after Jasmine received a message of a picture of Rigo stating this is what your son is doing, when I didn't ask Adrian to follow my son around to report back to what he was doing. My comment that I made to Adrian was to basically let me know if he had concerns around my son and him or Layla, not what my son was randomly doing out in the public. So I went to go file a restraining order and found out that they had moved, so I couldn't have him served. I tried to find his address. I asked Layla. She was unable to provide it. So then I finally asked Adrian what his address was, and that's when he indicated that at that time he was now going to be pressing charges on my son months after a situation that was retaliatory and my concerns of my son's safety. I went trick-or-treating as I always do in Yelm with my kids. Our first neighborhood is always behind the high school, and then we go over to Cherry Meadows. And like the third house that we walked up to, the first people to answer the door was Hannah. And I had no idea that's who it was at first until she had already given the kids candy, and then she stood up from bending down handing the kids candy, and I saw her face. Adrian came out and he had said some stuff that was clear on video. I had already walked down the road, so I couldn't hear what he was saying. But he had mentioned something about being 18 years old, which is basically what he had told my son, that he was going to get him when he was 18. And so the very next day, my son's wallet that had been missing from his job was placed on the top of our trash can, like on the very top, and it was all scattered about. And that was the very next morning of coming across Adrian's address. And then on Thanksgiving, my son showed me a notification that he had received from TikTok that Hannah was viewing his account, and I messaged her asking her not to be watching my son's account because she has no concern over him anymore. And she told me that it would be stalking or harassment if I replied to her. So I just let that be what it was, because I don't care about these people. They made threats to my son, and I just want us protected. 2 days after that text that I sent, my son came to me and he had a bullet. He said he found it in his bed, and it's to a 9mm. And before this incident, we didn't own a 9mm or have any ammunition to a 9mm. We don't have anybody that comes to our house, to our property. So I'm not sure how it was placed there, but with him not having any issues with anybody else in our community, I am assuming that it's Adrian because he had threatened to kill my son. The day of the incident, it was sometime in June, I believe, with the incident with Rigo and Layla. My son Rigo received text messages saying that someone was going to kill him also, and it came from a number where Adrian and Layla came from North Carolina, I believe. And I'm just concerned. I just want my son protected. They're saying that I filed this as retaliatory to the charges that were filed when I had already filed something before the charges were filed. And when I was speaking to the judge about why the charges were filed, she told me that I could come down and seek a protection order, and so that's what I did.
This is based on hearsay as well.
I'll overrule that. You can keep going, ma'am.
The judge sat in the courtroom and told me that if I was concerned about my son's safety, then to go file a no contact order. So that is what I did.
When did you learn their address?
Halloween.
Okay. Ms. Sturvis, you have any questions you wish to ask Ms. Bland?
I do, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Bland.
Hello.
So you signed this petition for protection order, and you signed that under penalty of perjury, correct?
Well, yeah, that's why it's in there, right?
Okay. And just directing your attention to the end where you did sign the petition, you signed where you were, Olympia, Washington, correct?
Yeah.
And then you printed your name as required and you signed your name, and that's your signature, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you put the date on it because you're required to put the date on it. And you put November 17th, 2023, and that's your handwriting as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you realize that it's really important to be accurate in this petition because you're swearing under penalty of perjury that it's important to be accurate. You understand that, right?
So what's the question?
Do you understand that?
Well, yeah.
I just ask you, just answer the questions, please. You know, I know you're not happy being here. I know you're not happy having to answer these questions, but when she asks you a question, just answer it as best you can, please.
You understand how important it is to be accurate because you're swearing under penalty of perjury that everything in here is correct, right?
Right.
Okay. And at this point, did you want to make any corrections to the petition that you swore under penalty of perjury was accurate on November 17th?
Any corrections?
Right. Is there anything in there that's wrong, inaccurate, false?
Well, I did state that when Adrian was saying something to me when I was walking away that I assumed that he was cussing at me, but he said something about being 18 years old.
Okay. Did you want to make any other corrections?
No.
Okay. So on page 7 of the petition, you put in here, and I'm going to be very specific because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about. Under firearms and other dangerous weapons, and that would be section O, you put the restrained person does the restrained person have her own firearms, and you check the box yes. Correct?
Okay. Okay, he's in the military.
But it says that's not what it asks. It says, does the restrained person have or own firearms? Yes, no, or I don't know. And you check the box yes. Correct?
Right. He's told my son about guns.
And
so
then the next box that you checked, you said, even if the restrained person does not have firearms now, has the restrained person ever used firearms, other weapons, or objects to threaten or harm you? And you check the box yes, correct?
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't see it.
It does
So
say
you
yes,
don't
ma'am.
remember?
I do have it in front of me.
Okay, so you did check the box yes. Okay, but then when we look at attachment E, and that's still attached to your petition, that's you've sworn is accurate under penalty of perjury. Then we look at that and it says, does the restrained person own or have access to any firearms? That's number 1 on attachment E. And you say at that point, unknown, correct?
Right.
Okay. And also listed on your petition, and now I'd like to focus your attention on page 9, and this is under number 16, most recent incident. And so on that, when you talk about and I want to be very precise, just a second. Okay, so you say, on October 31st, 2023, I was trick-or-treating and my children came up unknowingly to Adrian's house. Layla's mom got Adrian to the door, who came outside yelling and threatening to beat my ass. So you put in your petition under penalty of perjury that he was yelling to beat your ass, yelling and threatening, correct? That's what you wrote.
Right, but after seeing the video, I was
right. Mm-hmm. I did have another question, but you did have an opportunity to observe the Ring video, which was recorded on his front doorstep, and on the Ring video, which I provided
that
to
Ring
you
video
for your
is
review.
edited to edit out what he had said.
Just stop. If two people are talking, I can't hear either one. Okay, so we're going to let Ms. Sturbis finish her question. When she's done with the question, then you can answer. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead, Ms. Sturbis. You can ask your question.
Thank you. So you did observe the Ring video, and in the Ring video, isn't it true that Adrian Crane never harassed you or threatened you at all?
It's not true, because at 2:58, I believe, on that video, it's edited out and it cuts the frame from somebody in the video to just all of a sudden they're gone without them walking away or anything, and then the video resumes.
So you're saying he was yelling and threatening to beat your ass?
He was yelling, but I thought I heard him say that's what he was going to. I thought I heard him say he was going to beat my ass, but he literally said something about being 18, which is the same thing he told my son when he threatened to kick my son's ass.
Okay, understood. And then also on your petition, you say on page 11 that it says restrained person's substance abuse. And you say, is substance abuse involved? And you checked the box, yes. You could have checked yes, no, or unknown. You checked yes. And then what type of substance abuse? And you put alcohol, correct?
Right. Because that's my question. That was my question. Was bringing to me.
Ma'am, I get to ask, Your Honor, okay. I would ask you to direct her to answer my question.
Okay. So go ahead, Ms. Might have to ask you re-ask it and then let her answer.
No, I did mark that he blank, because from my assumptions, how Adrian was coming to me was not from a stable or a sane man. He was chaotic. Okay. He was
so you were making assumptions. Okay, I understand. Next. So, Ms. Bland, you're familiar with using law enforcement to protect you, right? You've obtained no contact orders before against Rigo's biological father, correct?
That was done in a divorce.
Right, but you know how to use law enforcement to help protect yourself, correct?
Right, and I have to take certain days off of work because I don't have paid leave. So
I'm not asking you about taking days off work, Ms. Bland. If you could just answer my questions that I'm asking you, please.
I have certain days. I'm telling you, I have certain days I can do it.
Okay, so again, when two people are talking, I can't understand either one. So Ms. Sturbis can ask your question. Ms. Bland, you can answer.
Thank you. So you've also utilized law enforcement before. You called the police when you thought that your son stole your drugs, correct?
Actually, it's not drugs, it's medical marijuana, but you're correct.
Okay, and you've also called the police before, and because you wanted to know if you could take away your son's phone, correct?
Right.
Okay, so you're very familiar that you can use law enforcement for a variety of reasons to protect yourself, correct?
Correct, but in a civil matter, they direct you to file a restraining order.
Oh, that's just, again, I'm just trying to get to a point. So
okay, well, mark it down too.
You never called the police about any alleged threat to Rigo's life, did you?
No.
Okay, and you realize—
Do you want to know why? Because I told Adrian that there will be repercussions and consequences.
You'll get a chance to respond to that. You get a chance to respond to that, but I'm going to let her ask her questions. You know, you have a chance to provide context when she's done.
Did you call the police after you were allegedly told that Adrian Crane chased Rigo into a McDonald's bathroom? Yes or no?
I did not call the police because
Again, it's a yes or no question, and you're going to have plenty of opportunities to say whatever you want. Did you call the police when you found a bullet? Did you call the police when you found a bullet allegedly on your son's bed?
Nope.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about that. You said that on November 28th, someone put a bullet on Rigo's bed, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, no.
And that was in Rigo's RV that you stated that he lives in on your original petition, correct?
That's his bedroom, yes.
Okay. And so where is that RV? Is that behind your house? Can you just tell me, is what?
Next to the house.
Next to the house. Okay. And about how far from the road would you say that is? Just a ballpark.
What road?
The road that people drive up to get to your house.
I have no idea how close that is to the road. There's a 6-foot gate in between.
Okay. So you have to go through a pathway and a gate to get to your house. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And does that gate also, you have to go through that to get to the RV? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you usually keep that gate open or closed?
It's open.
Okay. And did you ever personally witness Adrian exhibiting substance abuse? Personally, you personally, did you ever see Adrian either drunk or on drugs personally?
No.
Okay. You did realize that the manager at McDonald's said that Rigo was not supposed to be at McDonald's while Layla was working, correct?
I believe that's hearsay, as there's no statement of that.
It's filed as a declaration, so I can review that, ma'am.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that served to me.
Okay, well, I do have proof that I gave that to you. So it would have been in either Layla Harp's declaration or Hannah Crane's declaration. And I have the proof of all of those, and that's also been filed with the court, Your Honor.
So if he wasn't supposed to be there, why was Adrian asked to leave?
So you weren't ever advised by the manager that they weren't supposed to be working the same shifts and weren't supposed to be there at the same time after the assault charges?
No.
You never knew that? Okay.
They never told me that. No.
Okay. And with regards to, you did receive a screenshot it was attached to a supplemental declaration, and that was a screenshot of a message that you had sent Adrian that says Corinne at the top, correct? Where it starts out, you did?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
And I have it too.
And that text, it's a pretty long text, but in that text, that was on August 11th, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And so in that text, you wrote, and I quote, "I do believe the things you are saying. I do not think anyone should be hitting another ever. Rigo."
Yeah, because Layla was hitting Rigo also.
And you also said, "If you have an issue with anything that happens from now until then, please come to me. I got hot just as I'm sure you did," correct?
Mm-hmm.
You went on to say, "I do not want him harassing anyone," correct?
Right. Just as the same as I don't want him to be harassed.
And later in the text, you say, again, "Could you please just message me with any issue?" Correct?
Between that pertained to him and Layla and Rigo, correct? Not what he was doing randomly. I didn't ask him to go out and parent Rigo.
Okay. And then you also say, "I want any woman to do what she needs to do to make herself feel safe," correct?
Yep.
You go on to say, "I told Layla this the exact day this happened," correct?
Yeah, that her and my son needed to separate, correct?
And then you said, "I can't protect my son when he's wrong. I even told Layla, do not forgive this ever for anyone," correct?
That was after, correct. That was after I only heard Layla's side of the story.
But
I didn't get a chance to hear my son's side.
This is all one text from you to Adrian Crane. Okay, I just want to make sure that you're confirming that that's yours, okay? And then—
Hang on just a second, I have a question. What date was that text sent?
August 11th.
Thank you.
And it was a Facebook message.
Okay. And so then, so you said in your statement that Layla has allegedly repeatedly hit your son Rigo, correct? You said that?
She has.
Okay.
I have text messages of her not wanting it be brought up at court to
and
Rigo.
You said that she repeatedly said that she's repeatedly hit him in his private areas, correct?
Yep.
And how many times have you reported this alleged assault to the police?
They are minors, so
that's not what I'm asking. Have you ever reported that to the police?
I'm trying to answer your question, but you're interrupting with what you think I'm going to say.
No, it's a yes, no question. Yes or no, have you reported these alleged assaults to the police? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. And then
we don't typically call the police.
Again, I don't have a question in front of you right now.
Well, it would be a yes or no question, so that doesn't matter.
So you mentioned when we were talking about the text message from August 11th that you hadn't had a chance at that point to talk to your son, and that's why you were maybe mistaken, correct?
Well, about the entirety of their relationship. He wasn't forthcoming of her assaults until August 11th after Adrian and I had talked.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
So, ma'am, you were trying to get some words in there. Any context you wish to provide to any of the questions you gave? Any answers you gave to Ms. Dirks' questions?
When it comes to listing Adrian as drinking, those were assumptions just based on his behavior. When he would contact me, he was erratic, very hostile. It was not a civil conversation. So my thinking is he came back from deployment and started doing something that made him act the way he was acting towards me and my son. When it comes to the McDonald's thing, I was never contacted by McDonald's about Rigo and Layla working different shifts. I was told that they wouldn't be, but I wasn't told that it was like mandatory or because I had asked them not to work the same shift. But they have worked at the same place for some time, and even though she works one shift, he might have worked later, and he doesn't have a car, and we live out of town. So if somebody's coming into town, he gets dropped off at what time he gets dropped off. And when it comes to the guns, he's in the military. Why wouldn't he have access to firearms? He's never said that he would shoot me or my son, but he did say that he would bury my son. And that's concerning with all of that is going on. I have a witness to that phone call. I also have a witness to his attempted intimidation, saying if he was going to sue me for my house because he went and got an attorney to show up to court, and was like, if she shows up for something about if I go to court, then my house is his house or something. And that was all recorded when my boyfriend went to serve the papers. The text, I have no idea where that came from. All I know is that it's a North Carolina number, like Adrian and Layla have, that states that there was a death threat. They claim that.
Hang on just a second. The text you're talking about from North Carolina, you got that in June, right?
Yeah, that was the day of the incident.
So then that text that you had sent to Mr. Crane in August, that was a couple of months after that when you sent that text.
So Your Honor, that text was him and I were trying to come to an understanding on the conversation we had while he was calling because it was on Facebook. So he was calling and texting.
Just a second. All this stuff, this incident, McDonald's and all of that, was that before or after that that text in August?
The stuff at McDonald's happened the morning of that text. Him and I were talking through the conversation because he was not civil when he first contacted me. And then later, as we text, we were trying to come to an agreement on figuring out their stuff. Us parents being mad about what their relationship that they had going on. And then when I showed Rigo,
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because I have my answer. I have one additional question for you, which might take a long answer, but then I'll hear from Mr. Durham, and then I'll let Ms. Sturbis speak with Mr. Durham. But we've been going at this for quite some time. I don't have any idea why you're asking for an order against Ms. Hart, and maybe you could explain that.
So I'll explain that right now. She had been going into McDonald's after she came back from Mr. Crane pushed Layla down the stairs. The next day she flew out to her dad's house. She was gone for some time. She told me on the phone that she didn't know if she was going to come back, that she didn't want to move back because she didn't like her stepdad.
So again, wait, hang on just a second, ma'am. I'm going to stop you. The relationship between her and her stepdad just doesn't matter here. You're asking. Let me finish, ma'am.
I'm telling you the backup.
I'm telling you the backstory. Can you let me finish, please? Right. So you're asking for an order to keep her away from you because she's harassing you. What I want to know is, how is it that she's harassing you? Because I haven't heard anything yet. I understand your position on Mr. Crane, but I don't understand why you're asking how Ms. Harp is harassing you in any way based on anything I've heard so far.
So I was asking for the order. I was unsure how to go about an order between her and my son, since my son is a minor. And I had asked her to stay away from my son when she came back and was no longer working at McDonald's. And she told me that her friends work at McDonald's, so she couldn't, she wasn't willing to stay.
Stop. Okay. So, okay, you've answered my question, ma'am. So I'm going to hear from Mr. Durham. I can unmute himself. Go ahead. What do you have to add to this situation?
So on the day, I'm pretty sure we were at the zoo on August 11th. We had received a phone call from Rigo. He was really erratic and upset, saying that Adrian had chased him into the bathroom. I messaged Adrian. I'm pretty sure it was me that messaged Adrian. I told him, I said, if you have an issue with one of our children or with Rigo, you're more than welcome to contact me. And I received a call from Adrian. He's really upset. And I told him to come to me. I'm an adult. He was really upset. He was saying, where are you at? We can meet up now. And I'm like, I'm at the zoo. We're at the zoo with the kids. And he's like, where you at, my language? I was like, we're at the zoo. And we talked for a few minutes. Well, he was yelling. Hung up the phone. I hung up the phone because we weren't getting anywhere in the argument. He called back. I answered the phone. He was still yelling. I hung up and kept calling and called, I think 2 or 3 more times. And then after a little bit, we calmed down and I got on the phone and I talked to him. We got to a point to where we were calm and, trying to talk through the situation. I did receive later on, I can't remember the day, I did receive a picture text message that Ms. Bland was referring to. It was a picture from Adrian. I'm not sure what Rigo was doing. It was just a picture of Rigo and some kids in the McDonald's parking lot. He was explaining to me that Rigo was smoking weed with a kid in the parking lot, though the picture didn't really show anything. It just showed Rigo and another kid standing in a parking lot.
Okay, keep going.
what I heard about on Halloween, I was at work, so I wasn't there. Though I heard that Corrine and the children, because my 2 children was present with hers. She took all of our kids trick-or-treating.
Okay.
And
so I
that,
can't really hear, Mr. Durham, I can't really hear, you know, when they start telling you, and then you're telling me what they told you. I'm anticipating a hearsay objection there, so you can tell me what you know. But go ahead there, Mr. Durham.
Understood. I don't remember what morning it was. It was really early in the morning. It was before school. It was right after. This was right after Halloween. It was like the day after Halloween. I got up to go to work, and I was changing my oil. And this is another instance that Ms. Bland was referring to that I did find. Oh, I apologize. I gotta go back a minute to August 11th when I was talking to Adrian on the phone. He did tell me, because I told him, I was like, you know, arguing with a minor or trying to assault a minor, it just wasn't gonna work. And he told me that Rigo was gonna be 18.
I'm gonna object again based on the hearsay.
I'll overrule that objection. You can cross-examine him on it, but he is a party. And so go ahead, Mr. Durham, you can continue.
Adrian told me that Rigo was going to be 18 soon and he was going to bury him. And that was told directly to me. But there was a day, it was in October, I went to go change my oil. I looked in our garbage can outside of our gate, and I found Rico's wallet and the contents of it scattered inside of the garbage can. Though I didn't see who put it in there. And with referring to the bullet, Rigo came into our bedroom about 7 o'clock in the morning. He was upset. And because he actually fallen asleep on the couch. So he didn't sleep in his room that night. And he come in upset because he went to go grab clothes, and he went to go grab his clothes, and he come back and said that he had found a 9mm.
Again, I'm going to object,
bullet.
Your Honor. This has been based on hearsay, and we don't know if Rigo is planning on taking a stand.
Rigo's here. He can.
Your Honor, if I may.
Okay, no, not right now. If he's here, if you want to call him as a witness, we can swear him in and hear from him. Continue on, Mr. Durham.
Rigo came into our bedroom and holding a 9mm bullet and showed me a bullet. He said he was laying directly in the center of his bed. I told him to give me the bullet. We looked at it for a little bit. I have the bullet actually in my gun safe. But that's about it as far as the bullet goes.
Ms. Sturbis, do you have any questions you wish to ask Mr. Durham?
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Durham, you said that August 11th you were at the zoo with your family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that my client called you more than once. How many times do you think?
We talked on the phone about twice, but I think all in all, it was probably about 3 or 4 times, maybe 5.
Okay. So both failed attempts and completed attempts, you say about 5 times? Okay. And what's the last 4 of your phone number?
The last 4 of my phone number is 0001. Though the calls weren't all through my phone number, they were through Messenger also.
This statement that was submitted, Mr. Durham, did you write this statement?
I did.
So you typed it all out?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further for this witness.
Ms. Bland, did you wish, Mr. Reyes is there?
Yes.
Did you wish to have him testify?
I
swear
do.
him in. Okay.
I do.
So he needs to understand, apparently there's a criminal proceeding against him? Is that yes
Yes.
or no? Yes? So he needs to understand that this is This is recorded. Anything he say can be used against him in the proceeding in juvenile court. He needs to understand that.
Okay, Rigo, don't talk about anything prior to the day you were chased.
And so, you know, if he testifies, this may open up questions about things that he may want to think about asserting his Fifth Amendment privilege. Have you discussed this with him? Is he, Mr. Rios, could unmute yourself and come on the Zoom call?
We're actually working with a deal on the prosecutor, so.
Okay, so I just understand that, but working on a deal means there hasn't a deal been set. And even if a deal has been set, additional information can upset all that. Having a fair amount of experience in criminal law. And so there's a video, I think, that was submitted which is, I'll be frank with everyone, it's kind of disturbing. And so to me, anyway, and I don't really have any testimony about that. That's in evidence, and it's been submitted. It's not in evidence in terms of the hearing, but it's been submitted. I've heard it. And so anyway, I can swear him in. He could testify. I just want to make sure he's doing that with open eyes. And I don't know whether you've discussed all this with him or not. I suspect not. But Mr. Reyes, you were there for a minute, but now you're not.
He's there.
Okay. So, and this is, you know, and you have an attorney. Do you have an attorney there in the juvenile case there, Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, I'm talking to him. And these are questions, ma'am, that you cannot answer for him. Well, I'm getting kind of a scratchy connection here.
Turned in not too long ago. I had my buddy Curtis. He turned in a report as a witness to what happened to McDonald's on August 11th.
Is that in this case?
It should be, yes. And one more thing.
I didn't hang on just a second. I didn't see anything from anyone named Curtis. It's possible I missed it.
His name is Zayden.
Yeah, Zayden.
He goes by Curtis. His name's Zayden.
Just a few days ago, Adrian happens to call his dad.
You haven't been sworn in or anything. Okay. So Ms. Bland, what do you wish to have him testify to?
I wish to have him testify to what Adrian did on August 11th.
Okay.
And the bullet that he found.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Reyes. You can speak to those two things.
So, I'll start off with the McDonald's. When that happened in McDonald's, I was very scared and for my safety, and my friend Curtis was right there. And Zayden, he also, just a few months later, because like he heard everything that had happened, he wrote it down, and I had to have him give it to my mom. And just a few days later, Adrian happens to Zayden's dad did not like that, and he was pissed. Sorry for my language. But ever since then, after the McDonald's incident, it's been bad, and me and my family were very concerned for our safety and mine. And when it happened, when I also found the bullet, we didn't own a 9mm bullet or guns or anything. And I even checked in with my mom, and that's what I was really scared of.
So I guess I want to make sure I'm clear what your testimony is with regard to this bullet. You and Ms. Bland are saying that someone came into your house, left the bullet on your bed without any of you knowing about it?
Yes, sir.
It was in the RV.
Okay. Ms. Sturbis, do you have any questions for Mr.
Rigo,
Reyes?
did you talk about what happened?
I do have a question.
Ms. Bland, you need to be quiet.
Okay, so you said, can you hear me okay, Mr. Reyes?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see you. I just want to make sure we have a good connection. So, Mr. Reyes, was it you that created this typed statement? Did you type this statement?
Yes.
Okay. And so you reviewed everything and you believe that it's accurate and complete. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying that your attorney gave you Layla Harp's address. Is that right? In this assault case?
Halloween.
He ensured we had the correct address.
I'm not asking you, Ms. Bland.
She's asking Mr. Reyes a question.
Mr. Reyes, in your statement, it says that your attorney ensured that you had Ms. Harp's correct address, right?
Just to check in with him. Yes, because we went on Halloween.
So your attorney gave the address to you. Is that what you're saying?
After that, yes. Just to clarify.
Okay. And that was your attorney who's representing you in the assault case. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that your attorney gave you that address?
I don't remember what day, but it was a day that we met up with him and had a meeting with him about our next court date.
Do you remember what month?
In October or November. It was one of those.
So was it after that there were already charges filed against you, correct?
Which happened in November.
Again, Ms. Bland, I'm not asking you anything.
Just answer the question if you can, Ms. Reyes. If you don't know, you don't know.
I just believe it was at the end of November.
Okay. And so when you found, were you the one who personally found a bullet on your bed?
Yes, and I showed my mother.
Okay, and you say that you believe it was Layla or Adrian who took your wallet and placed a bullet on your bed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you personally make a report to the police regarding that?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything further. Thank you.
So I just have one question for Ms. Bland, if you could come back on. There's an incident you spoke of at McDonald's. It was in August, and then we've heard a lot about Halloween. What happened between, if anything, between August and Halloween?
Just text messages back and forth. I attempted to file a restraining order when I had a day off of work.
Second. I mean interactions between the two of you and the
I'm telling you.
Any of those, yeah, but no, you're saying you're trying to file. I mean incidents between you and Mr. You trying to file some testimony of that. So
I'm trying to tell you.
These text messages, were they threatening or anything like that?
So
I didn't see any.
When I filed a restraining order, I had asked Adrian, because I couldn't find his old address. I had asked him for his new address. And then that's when he said that he was going to go ahead and file the assault charges.
Right. Okay. So, Mr. Durham, I have a question for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
It sounds like you had telephone conversations with Mr. Crane in August.
Yeah.
And then it sounded like things were at least, I mean, what was the tenor of your final conversation there?
At the beginning, it was really, really, really hot. Towards the end, it was okay. As far as like when I went to go serve Mr. Crane, he informed me through the ring camera that he wasn't there. It was a pretty chill conversation. We were talking. Well, he was talking. He was telling me about how he was going to have his lawyer fees tagged to Corrine, and he was going to take her place. And then all of a sudden, the police showed up, which completely surprised me. Guns, like with a big rifle out and everything. I didn't understand what that was about. It was very upsetting. But it seemed like, you know, what between me and Mr. Crane, everything was okay up until the police showed up with their rifles up.
All right, thank you. So Ms. Sturbis, do you wish to call witnesses?
Well, I have a
reviewed your declarations.
Yes, and I have a follow-up question for Mr. Durham, just based on what he just said, if you wouldn't mind.
I would actually like to move this along, and because we're here all morning, we have 3 cases still pending here. We're coming up 11:15. We're supposed to be done by noon.
Okay, I'll just
probably
start
not going to
arguing
happen.
it.
So
Okay, I'll just start
and I've got a lot of information from Ms. Bland, Mr. Durham, and so yeah, if you wish to call witnesses, we'll hear from them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So first of all, Your Honor, I filed a supplemental declaration of Adrian Crane, and that was on Friday afternoon. And I had talked with the court to make sure that that would be included and processed on Friday. And I talked with somebody this morning because I didn't see that. And I did provide copy over the email to Ms. Bland. Well, it's now in the court file, but I am guessing since you've been on the record, you haven't had a chance to review it because it is a very short declaration. And really its only purpose is just to give a foundation for the audio file, the ring file. I would just propose that I have Mr. Crane read it into the record word for word. It just basically describes and explains and authenticates the evidence that the court already has filed.
Okay, basically what it says is when petitioner was trying to serve papers, Mr. Durham was at the door. And then basically his son answered the door, was there, and not Mr. Durham himself.
That's accurate.
And then there's the screenshot of August 11th. She's going to her son smoking in public after she told her to communicate with her. Accurate transcript. And then apparently there's a transcript of the 911 call when he tried to serve papers. The caller was Hannah Crane. She was not at the residence. But her 17-year-old son was there. Okay, so basically he wasn't home when the, and apparently Mr. Durham, according to the declaration, Mr. Durham was speaking with his, Mr. Crane's 17-year-old son and not Mr. Crane himself.
Your Honor, if I may.
No, that's not.
Go ahead. Just go ahead, Mr. Durham.
No one came to the door. No one answered the door. Mr. Crane himself spoke to me on the Ring camera.
Right. No, and what they're saying is that wasn't him. That was his son, basically.
No, yeah, but I didn't even know anybody was there.
Right. Okay, I get it. Okay, Ms. Sturbis, anything further?
Yeah, I was trying to say, Your Honor, that while we were validating and authenticating the Ring camera recording, what we were saying is that Mr. Crane, the respondent, was not at the house. However, through the Ring audio, he was able to speak to Mr. Durham. But because he wasn't there, that's why the police were summoned, because only his 17-year-old was at the house. I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay, great. I just have very few questions, Your Honor. Mr. Crane is present. And I'm assuming that you reviewed petitioner's text message that starts with, "Yo, is this Rico?" Correct?
Yes.
And at the top of that, there was a phone number, a 9842. That's not your phone number, is it?
No.
That's not Layla Harp's phone number, is it?
No.
That's not Hannah Crane's phone number, is it?
No.
Okay. And that was on June 21st, June 21st of 2023, about 11:28 a.m., correct?
Sounds about right.
Okay. And how many times have you been in Corinne Bland's presence in person?
We've only seen each other 2 times in real life.
Okay. And was one of them Halloween?
Correct.
Okay. And we heard that from Jay Durham that you called over and over and over on August 11th. Did you look at telephone records regarding any calls that you made to a phone number that Jay gave as ending in, I believe it was 01? Did you do a record search to see if there were phone calls recorded on August 11th?
Correct. There's very few.
How many were there?
1 phone call.
1 phone call on August 11th. Okay. And
what about Facebook Messenger?
Were you aware that Layla Harp and Rigo Reyes were not supposed to be scheduled at the same shift once the manager became aware of the assault?
Yes, I was aware they weren't supposed to be there.
Okay, so they were never scheduled with the same shifts on the same time after that happened, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you were never in any type of a party circumstance in Ms. Bland's presence, correct?
Yeah, I don't.
You never had any occasion to drink alcohol in her presence?
I was a DD at my own wedding. No, I don't drink.
A DD?
Defensive driver. I was the designated driver.
Yeah, okay, so you don't drink?
No.
Okay. And there's a little confusion on the petition, apparently from Ms. Bland, about whether you do or don't have weapons or whether it's unknown. But have you ever taken a weapon out, made any threats to, we'll start with Ms. Bland.
No.
And how about Rigoberto Reyes?
No.
Okay. Well, we might as well throw in Mr. Durham. You've never threatened him. No. You need respect. All right. And I think the rest is covered, but you obviously created both your declaration and your supplemental declarations, correct?
Yes,
that have been filed in this case, and they're true and accurate and all the threats. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Bland, I did hear you ask, what about the Facebook Messenger? So I'll ask that on your behalf, and then I'll ask you if you have any other questions you wish me to present to Mr. Crane. Mr. Crane, on August 11th, were there any Facebook messages sent by you to either Ms. Bland or any one of the parties on the other side there?
Yeah, so we did communicate through Facebook Messenger, Your Honor, and I could actually provide you proof of it, but most of the calls originated from the petitioner to the respondent. There was a couple callbacks. If I remember correctly, there was a couple dropped calls because of where they were at.
No.
They actually
There were
initiated
no
the calls to me. If you look at the records from that day, they're not included because we didn't feel the need to, but I can provide those. They initiated the calls to me first that day.
Ms. Bland, anything else you wish to, any other questions you have for Mr. Crane?
It's no, but that day he called my Facebook Messenger alone twice, and I don't know how many times he's called Jasmine, and we literally told him that we were at a family event and that we weren't going to be able to do anything that at that time.
So now's the time, people.
How many times?
What's that? You were going to say something, Ms. Bland?
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, so I have 3 calls from Adrian on August 11th. I called Adrian and asked him to quit calling. I also stated, I don't give a damn what happened. You step to my kid again, you'll be dealing with me. Your job will be hearing about a no contact order between you and a minor because of your actions. So it was that day.
This was in August.
Yeah,
okay.
That was August 11th.
I'll hear from you, ma'am, as a final statement or argument you wish to make to me as to why you think you should have orders against both these folks. Then I'll hear from Ms. Sturbis, and then I'll make a decision.
I think I should have orders from these to be protected from these people because he made a death threat to my child. He's chased my child through McDonald's. I can't prove that he did anything with the wallet or the bullet, but my son doesn't have any issues with anybody else in the community. So it's just unrealistic that some person that doesn't have an issue with him or I brought a bullet to our house or took his wallet and put it on top of the trash. I've asked Layla to stay away from McDonald's where she no longer works, and she told me she was unwilling to do so. And I just asked her that she could stay away.
Just, this is argument. I'm going to let her continue, Ms. Durbus.
Okay.
I just asked her to stay away while he's at work, and I asked her to agree to that, and she said that she was unwilling to. And so to prevent any more issues from happening in the future, I would just like a protection order in place. It could go mutual. That's not a.
It can't.
Okay.
It needs to be a cross petition, and there isn't.
Okay. Well, I'm asking to be protected from Adrian and Layla so that there are no more future issues with any of the situations that have gone on. This has gone on for far too long, and I just see it escalating and getting worse as time goes on.
Ms. Durbus?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this petition for protection order has been flawed from the very beginning. It was sworn under penalty of perjury, yet it is filled with assumptions, damaging assumptions, which I believe the court should view all of Ms. Bland's credibility with that in mind. She states in one place that he has firearms and that he's threatened with firearms, and then later she has unknown. She's also discussed, again, under penalty of perjury, that substance abuse has been involved, it's alcohol abuse, and then later, of course, that's not accurate as well. But Your Honor, the very base, the most important thing about these petitions, and the reason why I belabor this point is it is important to hold people to a standard. And the reason they're sworn under penalty of perjury is because there have to be a result or a reaction if somebody does lie under penalty of perjury. And I would submit to you, when you look at page 12 where she signs it, the date is November 17th, 2023, Your Honor, when she dated this thing. And then when you read her narrative, she talks about things that haven't even happened yet, Your Honor. It's ludicrous. She says on November 28th, my son found a bullet in the center of his bed. You know, if we are to hold her to this very low standard, but she is trying to get an order to be in the justice system that's going to have far-ranging impacts on Mr. Crane. Another date she puts in the narrative on November 26th, 2023, Adrian's wife, TikTok account. I mean, if you can't even trust that she can come up with consistent and reliable statements in this petition, I don't know how we can expect her to be honest or reliable on the stand. Clearly, swearing under penalty of perjury doesn't mean much to her because of the petition, what I've already pointed out. Additionally, Your Honor, I would just submit that if it was true that she was truly in fear for her son's safety, that there would be police records or indicia. We do have as one of our exhibits the fact that the respondent did a records check from McDonald's and that there were absolutely no police calls regarding Mr. Crane, McDonald's. And if this extremely terrorizing event had happened, one would expect to see that. We know that Ms. Bland, from her own mouth, is very familiar with using law enforcement to try to help deal with the small issues and the big issues in her life. She did admit on the stand that she has used the police to try to see if she could take away her son's cell phone. And I would submit to the court that while that's probably not something one should be wasting 911's time with, it is again very suspect that she would be trying to utilize the police for that, but not if she truly believes her son is in danger. And additionally, Your Honor, some of the things that were presented, and I know that you know when it is assuming facts, not in evidence, but I would just submit to you that you do also have declarations from Ms. Harp. I don't think it has been established that there should be even the tiniest bit of evidence supporting an order against Ms. Harp. And again, when Your Honor considers all the evidence before you, I would submit the petitioner she can't even get one of the respondents' names correct. I mean, she puts Layla Harper. Again, it's caution and carefulness. And this is something she's asking you to make a very drastic decision that is going to impact my client in traveling and all kinds of things. And that I don't think that what she has submitted rises to that level, Your Honor. I do believe that Ms. Harp has authenticated the recording regarding the assault. And so you have foundation and you have authentication based on the exhibits that we have submitted. She did indicate that why she broke off the relationship. She did indicate that there have been at least 4 occasions where he assaulted her. And again, if, as Ms. Bland has alleged, there were numerous indications when Ms. Harp was allegedly punching Mr. Reyes in his private areas, I just find it, again, this is a woman who is very familiar with calling the police, and not even one single police call regarding that assault. Also, Your Honor, I would just submit that when you take into account Ms. Crane, she indicates and she authenticates regarding the Halloween. And again, in the Halloween incident, you have a ring recording. And I would submit to you, I know it is kind of a long recording. It is a continual recording. You can see in the, I believe it's the bottom right-hand corner, that it hasn't been edited. You can see the continual running of the time, both in the recording, there's one recording time, and then there's actually 2. So I would submit again that shows that Mr. Crane goes outside after they've walked away, that the only statement made by anyone in the Crane household was Ms. Crane saying, please don't come back. And she did that after the kids were even off the porch. So she waits. Corinne, Ms. Bland is kind of hanging back a little bit. And then you hear Ms. Crane's voice very clearly saying, please don't come back. And so none of that supports what was stated in the petition regarding him coming out, yelling, screaming, threatening to beat my ass. And again, even if she tried to change it today a little bit after she reviewed the ring video, which I'm sure the ring video probably was quite a surprise to her that we actually have proof that he wasn't doing that. Again, I would just submit that you need to take all of that into account when you assess whether to give her any credibility. And I don't believe she should be given credibility based on the flawed things that she swore to. And Your Honor, based on all of that, I would ask that you deny the order, both on behalf of my client, Layla Harp, and on behalf of my client, Adrian Crane. Thank you.
So
I have one more thing to say.
Go ahead, Ms. Bland.
So the original date on the 17th was when I went and picked up the paperwork, and then I had added into days as it happened, what happened with Hannah and the bullet. And I just didn't go back and revise the date I had signed that order before I submitted it.
So, okay, thank you. So my ruling in this case is as follows. First of all, Ms. Bland is asking for 2 orders, one against Ms. Harp, and then the other against Mr. Crane. Take the easiest first. Ms. Harp, I don't see anything either in the testimony, we've been at this for quite some time, either in testimony or in the declarations or in the petition that could be construed as harassing from Ms. Harp in any way. Ms. Bland indicates, well, she requested that she stay away from McDonald's. She can eat where she wants. And the fact that she chooses to eat at McDonald's or anywhere, she can do that. She's not under court order. And so it would not be harassing for her to, I mean, apparently, I think there was some, this didn't come out in testimony today, but there was some indication in the record. She used to work there, or maybe still does, has friends who works there. That's the fact that you ask her not to go to McDonald's and she does anyway. That's not harassing in any way, shape, or form. And so the order against her is denied. With regard to Mr. Crane, there's a little bit more there. It's alleged, and I saw there was a text from June that does indicate some threats, apparently, towards Mr. Reyes. And but that's from an unknown phone number. Mr. Crane has testified under penalty of perjury. That's not one in his family's phone number. I think Ms. Bland even indicated she just saw it was a North Carolina number and assumed it was from. There was a lot of assuming going on in this case, actually, and assumed that that it was Mr. Crane who had sent that text, but I can't certainly make any sort of finding based on that. There's I can't see any evidence that links him to those particular texts. Following that, there was the incident that we heard quite a lot about that was alleged to have occurred on August 11th. There was an incident again that was alleged to have occurred at McDonald's. There were subsequent conversations between Mr. Crane as well as Mr. Durham, who frankly, if I found Mr. Durham a very credible witness in terms of what he said about how things happened, and things were emotional at first. And I'm going to use his words, by the time they ended their conversation, things were pretty chill. And then following August 11th, as far as I can tell, there was some contact information back and forth between Ms. Bland and Mr. Crane. It did not indicate, I didn't hear from anyone that that was harassing or threatening in any way. And I think I specifically asked Ms. Bland if it was threatening, and she indicated that it wasn't. And she said, "You come after my kid," or things like that, things of that sort. But nothing coming, Mr. Crane is the respondent, nothing coming from him with regard to him being harassing. Then there was the incident on Halloween, and which indicates that Ms. Bland, perhaps unknowingly, actually showed up at their house and trick-or-treats, which isn't uncommon. People go to different neighborhoods to trick-or-treat all the time. I know that happens in Olympia, so I can't imagine that Ms. Bland intentionally sought out. That doesn't make any sense to me either, that she would seek out the Cranes to go trick-or-treating, but nonetheless, there they were. And then what happened after that? And then there's the allegation where Ms. Bland says, well, he threatened to whatever. That's, I will be frank with everyone, that's not supported in the video that I saw was referenced. Ms. Bland indicates, well, that video must have been doctored somehow, or was doctored somehow, but I can't make any finding in that regard either. And then there was the issue with regard to the wallet and the bullet, and you know, and I can't just assume, well, people are having problems, so it must be them. I can't do that. I can't find any sort of connection that links one to the other. And so Mr. Reyes may have some problems with other people. Maybe he did that himself. Maybe Mr. Crane did it. But based on any of the evidence presented, I can't make a finding one way or the other. And as a petitioner, Ms. Bland, you carry the burden of proof. In a civil case, it's different than a criminal case. But nonetheless, you have to make a showing by preponderance of the evidence that the harassment has existed. And harassment is... maybe I should have read this at the beginning of the calendar. Sometimes I do, but I'm going to do it now. Is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, harasses, or is detrimental to such person that serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. The course of conduct must be such that would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and must actually cause substantial emotional stress to the petitioner. And then course of conduct is defined is a pattern of conduct composed of a series of acts over a period of time, however short, evidencing continuity of purpose. And then it goes on a little bit more about what that means in terms of communication, contact, or conduct. So not every conflict, ma'am, Ms. Bland, I'm going to speak to you directly, not every conflict is harassment. And assuming for the moment that, and I'm not making this finding, but even that incident at McDonald's occurred exactly as you're alleging, that's a single incident. And a single incident doesn't arise to the level of harassment, and it could be construed as a completely inappropriate response to an emotional thing that he heard about his stepdaughter, and which would not be great and not good, but at least understandable. And then from there point going forward to Halloween. Okay, ma'am. Okay, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking, and so I would really ask you not to interrupt me when I'm speaking also. And so from the August 11th to Halloween, I don't find anything that was harassing from either part. And then Halloween, like I say, there's just insufficient evidence for me to make any sort of finding harassment. Having said all that, Mr. Crane, I'll turn to you. Clearly, you know how Ms. Bland and Mr. Reyes and I assume Mr. Durham feel about contact from you. They don't want any. And so going from this point forward, if there is any contact from you towards them, I probably take a little different view on whether or not that contact is harassing or not. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm good for this particular hearing. I'm going to deny the petition for her. I'm going to deny the petition for orders with regard to both parties. And this case will be concluded.
Okay, if this happens to my son, there will be consequences and repercussions. Thank you.
And you're all free to leave the Zoom call.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Molinelli, how is it you need an order against Mr. Boyer?
I knew Mr. Boyer for maybe a month. We met online, and there came a point where I realized he did not give me his real name. He introduced me as Theo, or introduced himself to me as Theo. And then given the colorful narrative for not giving me his legal name and some key simple things about his life, I felt very uncomfortable and wanted to remove myself from getting to know him further. I was very clear on December 19th that I wanted no further contact from him and to please not contact me anymore, including text messaging. He called me immediately afterwards. Then I reiterated verbally to please not contact me anymore. He messaged me 4 more times that evening. I did not respond. The morning of December 20th, he called me. I did not respond. I ignored the call, and then I blocked his number. And then on December 21st, he called me from a blocked number telling me that he had a viewing at my apartment complex, given he needed to find a new residence to live at and that he would be looking at other places as well. However, given the fact I did not know this person for an extended period of time and what they did show me up until that point of, a series of colorful lies and giving me a fake name, etc., I felt very scared. And I let him know that on the phone, and for him to not come to my residence looking for an apartment, and that I would be filing a protection order because I was terrified in that moment. And so when I was speaking to my complex manager, when him and I got off the phone, per them, he did end up canceling the viewing at my complex. And I personally have never felt the need to not stay in my own home. I felt very scared and uncomfortable that someone who was making me scared and uncomfortable and kept contacting me knew where I lived. So that's why I wanted to get a protection order. In the meantime, it was advice I was given, and I simplified it in the sense of if I feel unsafe, then to move forward with something, and I felt unsafe.
Did you ever meet face to face?
Yes, Gabriel and I hung out about 5 times. It was after hanging out 3 times, I felt comfortable enough to invite him over to my residence. And it was that night on December 15th when he was over at my residence, and I feel I only found out about his real name, his real legal name, because my dog was kind of gnawing at his pocket, and he showed me his work badge, and his work badge had the name Gabriel on it. And he gave me some story about why he has a different name for work. It caught my attention. However, it was really late, and I can't sit there and assume what someone may or may not do, like the depths of their job. And we hung out again 2 days later on the 17th, and the story about his alleged work name, which is his legal name, got more colorful. And then I decided to look at one of his social media channels the following Monday because things were just getting really weird for me. And there was some videos that I saw of just like his life that did not pan out or match with the things that he was telling me about himself. And I mentioned these incidences to him, and then I feel the lies just got really elaborate, trying to cover up a lie, and it was just a lot trying to get to know somebody new. So I stated that, and I tried to politely remove myself from him, and wished him well, and then he kept contacting me when I asked him not to. And then it was him wanting to view an apartment at my complex that really alarmed me, given the behavior of the prior 3 or 4 days.
So I'll hear from you.
Yes, sir. So I would say pretty much what she said was accurate. The reason why I was trying to contact her after she had told me she didn't feel comfortable talking anymore is, I guess, in my mind, I wanted to kind of give her some closure and explain some of the things that I wasn't necessarily truthful about. And then what had happened with the actual apartment complex is I was suddenly going to need a 2-bedroom as opposed to a 1-bedroom. And I had been moving previously because my homeowners are going to be moving back into my current house. So now that I needed a 2-bedroom, I was kind of sprawling for time, stressed out a little bit on the budget as well. And her apartment complex was.
You were looking for. I apologize for interrupting, but I wasn't sure what that viewing meant. I didn't know whether you were a real estate agent showing a place, or whether you were going that. So you were thinking about renting a place in her complex.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So it was going to be a tour. And I called her. I did like if you do *67 on the phone, it basically just makes the phone number like private. So I did that, and I just wanted to kind of confirm with her to make sure she was somewhat comfortable with that. And I can tell pretty quickly she was, and that's why I ended up just canceling the tour of that apartment complex. And then I did end up finding another place, so it kind of settled itself out. But
there's a handwritten note that's attributed to you from December 18. Did you see that?
Yes, I believe I know what it's about.
Right. Do you see how that might be kind of disturbing to someone, sending to someone who you don't know well?
Yeah, so the handwritten note was from my ex. She had actually attempted to, and this is why I was kind of sprawling for time, because I didn't know if she would technically be allowed custody of her kids, just because, again, I don't know if she would be deemed like mentally unfit. So I assumed that they would be coming to me for an extended period of time, which is why I was trying to get the 2-bedroom as opposed to the 1.
I know. I'm talking about the note. Yeah, and you sent that to Ms. Molinelli?
Yes, sir. At the time, we had kind of talked about, my previous relationship, and I really just didn't have anybody else to kind of vent to or talk about that with. So I know she kind of told me not to contact her, but I was kind of spiraling at that point. So,
well, I'm sorry that you're spiraling, and I hope you do better. But and hopefully this will help you at least draw some lines. But I'm going to enter an order, and you're not to contact Ms. Molinelli. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And she's just not a part of your life. Not through texting, not through emailing, not phone calling, sending messages through third parties, any other of social media. Everybody says Facebook, but I know there's tons of social media sites that I have. Your people of your age knows a heck of a lot more about than I do, but you're just not to contact her at all. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
It'll exist for 1 year, and that'll conclude the hearing. You can get a copy of this off the Thurston County District Court website. Either of you have any questions?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead, ma'am.
With the no contact for this order that you're placing, does that also include what was on the emergency no contact order of him not being able to come within 1,000 feet of my residence or work?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And that's it for today. You both are free to leave the Zoom call. Good luck to you both.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How is it you need an order against Ms. Gray? I have to say, I think I told you before, I'll tell you now when both are here, it's kind of an unusual situation. Go ahead, ma'am.
So let's just do the short version. An altercation happened, and it was with me and another girl. Heather did get involved. So the first thing is the cops were called and EMTs were called. Miss Gray,
please, I didn't understand that.
The cops and EMTs did get called.
Okay.
Miss Gray used her EMT to let the fire chief think that she wasn't involved and called off the ambulances to come check me out after Miss Gray had kicked me in the head. So then I did get them called back on, and I did get checked out. And I did end up with a concussion from being kicked in the head by Mrs. Gray. And the next day, like, she's outside my house. She's honking her horn and getting, like, because one of the other girls lives close, like directly across the street. But it's like all of a sudden she's always, like, the next day kept just being in our face, making it clear that she's there outside my house. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, looked out the door and said, well, it looks like she has her phone up videoing me. And I'm like, if you're right directly outside my front door and you're honking your horn, my kids are gonna look. And you don't, like, that's not a way to not cause problems. It doesn't need to be at my house, Your Honor.
So the harassment is the horn honking?
Is her out there? They were walking around the day before, videoing me and following me around. Her and another lady.
Okay.
Like
a bunch of pictures that were submitted.
Video, Your Honor, I was originally sitting out there all by myself.
Who submitted these pictures on that came in today? When those
I did. And I submitted
I
the
didn't
video
see-
of the
I'm just
altercation
yeah.
and an
Okay, hang on,
explanation.
just stop, please. So I haven't seen any of those.
Yes.
You know, I do review all files, but there's been a ton of stuff here.
Right.
And
It's been.
that was
Did you get a chance to review all that, Ms. Gordon?
No, I did not get a chance to review what she submitted. Nothing.
Yeah,
I've been on
I
this
think
Zoom.
you should. Okay, and then one of these, okay. Okay, and then there's a video also. So, hang on just a second. Do you guys live next to each other?
No,
I've
she
never
doesn't.
met her before.
This kicking in the head, what's that all about?
I never kicked her in the head. First of all, I've never met her before. Met her at a fundraising event.
Right.
If you read through the story, you can see the chain of events it took me probably approximately 4 hours to figure out why she was so hostile towards me, because she's friends with my assistant fire chief's, well, she's a sister-in-law of my assistant fire chief, which is also the mayor, and his wife has issues with me. I've never met Tabitha.
Or Your Honor.
Listen, I don't know why this turned into an interruption fest this morning, but
I know.
Let her finish, please. I mean, I went through all that in that previous hearing that went on just so long. So please don't interrupt the other party. I'll make her do the same for you, Ms. Gordon. So when she's speaking, don't interrupt. When you're speaking, I won't let her interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We were doing a fundraising event for my assistant fire chief, who was just recently diagnosed terminal with cancer. Like I said, never met Tabitha, don't know her. I didn't know her by her face. I had heard stories about her because I know that she's been an issue with my girlfriend who lives 25 feet from her house. Their doors face each other, which I included a picture of the map that shows their address so you can see exactly how far it is. The day that she's talking about where I pulled up, Janiza has 12 puppies on top of 4 dogs. I've never been in her house. I've actually only stopped at her house 3 times in the last 6 months. That day that I was picking her up, I tapped on the horn to let her know I was out front because she's in the process of doing a restraining order against Tabitha and her sister-in-law, Miriam Gordon. That was it. I've never followed her around town recording her. I've never even seen her before December 17th. So for her to say there's any harassment, I think I would actually have had to have known her or met her or had interaction with her online, called her, stalked her, something.
Okay. And did you submit a picture of someone who had like a scratch?
Me.
And that was you. And who put those scratches on you?
It was a big cluster mess of her advancing, which you can see in the video. I was 10 feet away from her in front of the bar. I was trying to have a conversation with her. I know. And it's so silly. The whole thing is so silly when you listen to it. She was super intoxicated. I was super intoxicated. She got up.
The recipe for success.
Right.
Go ahead.
She got up. She aggressed towards me when Janiza had came out. She said some words. She called me an effing idiot. She said some words to Janiza to stay the F away.
This is all on the video?
Yes, it's all on video.
And is this the big cluster where she
Yes.
may have got it in the head?
I have no idea what she's talking about with that. I know that she had pulled my hair out, my extensions. She had pulled Janiza down to the ground on the concrete. They both were
And
down.
This is on the video.
Not that part, because obviously we would have been holding the phone at the same time.
Right.
So that part is where it cut out. But you can see her coming
All right.
and passing by the door that goes to the tavern, which she
Hang on
claims
just
she
a
was being
second.
blocked.
I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And so you haven't seen any of the, do you know how to access the court file, ma'am? Ms. Gordon, you can see what's been filed? Because I need to see this and I haven't, and we're so late in the morning here that I'm not going to take the time to do it. But we'll reset it for week 2 or 3.
Your Honor, honestly, like I have a daughter that just had a surgery and has an infection on her neck. So during this whole thing, I've had to take her to the doctors.
All right.
So
clearly
no,
you
I don't
like
have
I
a
said,
way
what
to
I would
like
do
look
is-
at it right now and be on Zoom with you.
No, I can't. I can't either. And like I say, we're supposed to stop at noon, but it's already past noon, but we still have.
I'm happy to have a continuance, Your Honor, so I can actually look at these things. I just wanted to be clear that this whole thing, the whole event was for my brother-in-law.
Okay, so you can stop, ma'am. And so are you available in 3 weeks?
Yes.
You available in 3 weeks?
Yes.
And you can zoom into these. You don't need to be here in person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just felt like it was, it's important to me. The whole thing is stupid.
These are important things.
Yeah, so in the meantime, I'm an EMT. I do have something to say. When she said that I dismissed the aid cars, I was not responding to a call. I explained to my assistant chief immediately within 10 seconds that I was involved with the call. I was intoxicated. There is no way, no right, no, like if you look up how you're supposed to be able to disregard an aid incoming.
You don't need to.
I did not fall underneath any of that criteria. So if that's why she's trying to file an harassment order, it still doesn't reach any of the criteria for any of this.
I just don't want to go outside my house, Your Honor. That is it.
Away from my. Be back here, ma'am. You just need to stop, please.
So in the meantime, so her order is within 1,000 feet from her house. My fire department is within 1,000 feet from her house.
She's on administrative leave until the prosecuting attorney takes on or throws off that. So it doesn't matter right now. 3 weeks isn't going to hurt anything.
Actually, the case was dropped within 24 hours. I have notes in there from Officer Anderson.
Are you available next week?
I am.
Okay. Available next week, ma'am?
It would depend on the day.
Monday?
And my administrative leave is pending upon me just coming in to sign some paperwork with my assistant chief. It was all part of just protocol.
I can't do Monday, Your Honor.
Okay, then we're going to adjust the order to reduce the distance restriction.
It's 1,058 feet to the fire department.
Well, the new order is going to be 100 feet from your house.
Okay. Perfect.
Do it that way.
Okay. I am happy with that.
I think we just need to do a new tempo.
And I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I have some statements from other people that are members of the fire department that would like to submit as well.
If you can submit them as declarations.
The same. Okay.
Yeah. So the distance restriction is reduced to 100 feet.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
And you might want to keep a copy of this so you can show whoever you need to show that to. And I guess my first question, now that I look at it, I didn't look at it, what's going on in Pierce County right now?
That's where I live, and that's where she was living until right now.
Okay, so was there, you were listed as a respondent on that. Oh, the petition was denied, probably because of jurisdiction. I see. So did you try to do this in Pierce County first, ma'am?
No. You might be seeing the denied order from my ex.
Okay. All right. That might be
It was on Friday the 22nd, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Roof, how is it that you need an anti-harassment order against Ms. Pierce?
Because I feel unsafe with her and just. I don't know how to.
I'm going to tell you something. We're getting a little bit late here, but that's all right. This is kind of highly unusual. You look to me like you just turned 18. Is that right?
Yes.
When did you turn 18? Right.
September.
And apparently, I'm just kind of reading between the lines here, which I'm hearing from Ms. Pierce. You kind of grew up with Ms. Pierce?
No.
Sorry? No?
No.
What's this guardianship thing she told me about? What's that all about?
My mom became homeless, so I moved in with Miss Pierce. And then she took me from there for a year before I turned 18.
And now you're 18 and then you've left?
Yes.
And then is it basically you just don't want to go back?
Yes.
Okay. That might be your right. You don't need, this is the wrong place to go about doing that. You see what I mean? Harassment, if you've been paying attention, and I would understand if you chose not to, but harassment is, people won't leave the other person alone. Like, and you saw that the one we just had here recently, there was like a brief relationship. All of a sudden the one person just won't stop bugging the other person. You say, leave me alone. And you need to get a court order to say, look, just stay away from me. And in the other case that went on for quite some time, the one person was alleging like this person has had contact with them and we need an order to keep these people away from me. And for the reasons that I stated, I denied that order. But this looks to me like not like that. And in terms of, and I heard you say, well, she's got this, in terms of property division, I can't make her this isn't a case where I can make her, if she has your things or just redistribute property or anything like that. That doesn't happen here. This is just an order to keep someone away from someone else. And I don't know what's going on with your mother. She didn't get served here. And I don't know what the relationship, and I don't know what your end game is. I don't know what Ms. Pierce's end game is. But I'm not sure I can get there from here with regard to either one of you. And, you come in age when you're entitled to move out and do what you want. And you might be at that age right now. And Ms. Pierce might not like it. She might not agree with it. But, and I don't, even if, a guardian, apparently there was some agreement worked out between your mother and Ms. Pierce. Is that your sister? If I remember right? And, but that was never memorialized in court. There's no parenting plan that says, or anything like that. So, I mean, she's not bound to do that. I don't, and so, I'm not sure what you want, but I'm not really sure you're in the right place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think about all this? And someone was off camera, speaking in your ear, and you had some others who are watching, who I understand, who have gone now, but we've been going on all morning. So, I guess what's your response to all that?
I just want my iPad back so I can get enrolled into a different school.
Well, let me hear from, and like I say, this isn't the place to do that, but let me hear from, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think actually, I don't know. I could not figure out how to submit anything online.
Right.
So I do have these copies for you if you would like them.
What, for the guardianship?
They are also in there, but I did go through the whole order, and there's been 3 cases now. This one that was filed, they did file a CPS report also, and as well supplied
Who filed the CPS report?
Julie. And they also supplied a 4-page letter to my ex, which he took to court and got denied that restraining order. So I do have all of that here. I went through all of those and created a table of contents of evidence for you,
right?
Which I think is silly. You don't even need to look at all of it.
I just don't think.
Basically,
this case is a lot of things with a lot of issues. I'm not sure harassment's it.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
And I do want to mention one thing, and maybe I can, maybe kind of a question. The person that you saw on camera earlier speaking for her is also actually writing for her. And so she is signing her name, but committing perjury on these.
Well, I get.
So.
And so Ms. Just out of curiosity, who is that person to you, Ms. Ruth? I don't know whether she's still there or not.
She is my boyfriend's mother.
I'm still here too.
Okay. So I guess this is a long way of saying, your petition for harassment is going to be denied. Just because this isn't a harassment case. It strikes me, ma'am, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm meeting you for the first time today. I'm meeting Ms. Pierce for the first time today. But it just kind of strikes me you've had some difficult things, happen to you, and it's been a difficult period of your life growing up, and I feel bad about that. And but like I said before, you're at the age where you can move out if you want, and I don't know what Ms. Pierce's response is to getting the iPad back. I don't even know who the iPad is, but and I don't know whether you can communicate with her or not. I can't make a decision on again, this just isn't a harassment case. This is not, and I can't, in the context of this course, I can't sign an order that says, give the give the iPad back. So I'm going to deny your petition against Ms. Pierce, which kind of leaves you where you were, you know, and I don't, you can contact her and see about getting the iPad back if she's willing to give it. If it belongs to the school district, is it a school district iPad?
Yes.
You return there, but that's, I mean, it's not her iPad either. It's, let's go back to the school district. And then, like I say, I can't enter an order here. I just can't.
Okay.
Do you understand why, even if you disagree with it?
Yes.
Okay, and then what do you want to do about this case with Ms. Zumwalt? When was the last time you've spoken with her?
Oh, Christmas Eve.
Oh, so you still have contact with her?
Oh wait, sorry, it wasn't Christmas Eve. I was a week before Christmas Eve. It was on a Friday night. I don't remember what the date. The 15th.
All right. So, what do you want to do with that case? And
Drop it.
all right. So this case will be denied. Again, that just kind of leaves you where you were when you walked in here. Again, I don't know what your iPad is.
So actually, I did speak with the school already about the iPad. It is an iPad that is from the school, and since I'm labeled as guardian on her school paperwork, I would be financially responsible, which I did let Megan know that, which is the other person in the speaking. And I did let her know that in text messages when she asked me about that. And I let her know that I would be returning it to the school. I already did email her counselor and let her know. Okay. And she did say that I could bring it back to the school. But the temporary order that we are in right now says that I can't go to the school.
Okay. Well, that's going to go away as of right now.
Yeah. Also,
so you're not in school at the moment now. So did you hear that, Ms. Ruth?
Yes.
So she's going to turn the iPad into the school and then you can go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
You were going to say something else?
I was going to mention the other part that she texted about missing items was that she had a debit card and some cash that wasn't returned to her. Julie did become violent and break our table, which we asked for her to pay for. It was $39.
Look, I'm not even going to let you go there.
Okay.
Because like I say, I'm not in an order here and I couldn't make any findings on that anyway. I am just going to say one thing, Ms. Ruth, to you, Ms. Pierce, and whoever's off camera there. And I don't know whether this is possible or not, but I think you would all be better off if you could come to some sort of common ground and work together. And maybe this is overly optimistic. I don't know. You know, technically you're an adult. But when I'm looking at you, you've got a lot of things that need to get sorted out. And hopefully the other adults in your life, Ms. Pierce here, whoever that is off camera, come some sort of, again, just I will tell you, Ms. Ruth, you know, the person who's getting hurt by all this is, well, I won't. Other than, and maybe I'm being overly optimistic here, but I think you folks all need to work together if that's possible.
Okay.
But the iPad's going back, and then that's where we're at.
Okay.
That's it for today. Thank you for appearing here today. And then the other case against Ms. Zumwalt, that will go away today also.
Okay.